Good evening, and welcome to the Somers Town Board regular meeting here at 7 o'clock on Thursday, March 10th, 2022. Before we begin, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Patty, before we begin, can you take a roll call?
Councilman William G. Faulkner.
Here.
Councilman Richard G. Clinchie.
Here, present.
Councilman Anthony J. Sirico.
Here.
Councilman Thomas A. Garrity Jr.
Here.
Supervisor Rob Scarano. Robert
Here.
Scarano.
Here.
I still want to call you back.
You want to get that rolling?
One of these days. One of these days. Yeah. We're going to start here with public hearings. I believe we have some remote access as well. The first one here, proposed local law to amend Chapter 154 entitled Taxation, Article 5 entitled Alternative Veterans Exemption, 154-15, Home Cap Value, Gold Star Parents and of the Code of the Town of Somers. Patty, are there any publishings and postings?
That was published on the town clerk's bulletin board and in the Somers Record on February 24th.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any comments or anything of that nature? All right. So I'd like to move to adopt the local law.
Well, do we have any public comment?
Anybody public?
Anybody calling in?
No, not at this time.
Okay. So move to adopt the local law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Number 2, proposed local law to amend Chapter 158 entitled Vehicles and Traffic, 158-8 entitled Shopping Centers Designated, and 158-10 entitled No Parking Areas, Fire Lanes, Fire Hydrants of the Code of the Town of Somers. We just got something that came off the presses here today. Patty, anything for publishing and posting as well?
That was
on that?
published in the Somers Record and posted on the town clerk's bulletin board on February 24th.
Okay, and this is the Bureau is requesting that this proposal be referred to the Planning and Engineering Department to review in efforts to compile a complete, accurate list of updates, as well as suggestions they may have to automatically update the code when future approvals occur. What I'd like to do is continue this discussion for a later date.
So we'll hold over the public hearing?
Yes.
Keeping it open.
Keeping it open. Yep. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. I'd like to make a motion to open up public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody here for public comment? Okay, great.
We figured.
We figured. If you guys can come up to the podium, state your name, and
Not a from. Oh. Well, I can't do that.
No, you got to talk into the mic though.
Pull it.
You have to talk into it.
just pull the mic down.
Yeah.
You can
Somebody
help
help her,
her.
maybe?
You can help her. Yeah.
There you go.
Perfect.
I'm a technophobe. Okay, so my name is Françoise Stein. I'm a town of Somers resident, and I'm here to express concern about the proposal set forward for development of Bailey Park. God, I forgot how nerve-wracking this is.
I don't think it's only us. Everybody else shut your eyes.
So my concern is this, a couple of concerns. First of all, the impact of this development, whatever this proposal is, and if this proposal actually went through due process according to the town code. So it's the town's board's legal obligation to follow due process as far as review of all these proposals. So the first thing I want to say is that Bailey Park is part of the Business Historic Preservation District, which was designated in the Town Master Plan. In case people don't know what the Town Master Plan is, It's a comprehensive plan that provides a guide to the town's overall preservation and growth over the next 20 years that the town entities and boards use to guide them as far as the development of the town. And this was, I think, started in the 90s. We spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of consulting, data collection to make this plan. So there was a business historic preservation district created that was to preserve all the historic features of the town. That being the anchor of the town, which was described as Bailey Park, the Elephant Hotel, which is on the National Register of Historic Places, and St. Luke's Church. And it was further designated as Somers Hamlet, which in itself, Bailey Park, Elephant Hotel, St. Luke's Church, and some of the view sheds here and different buildings was called the Somers Hamlet, which just by itself has National Historic Registry. So what was concerning to me when I was reading about all these proposals is in the minutes of one of the meetings of the Somers Park and Recreation Board. I understand that this has been a process going on for a long time, this proposal, and a lot of time has been put into it. But quoting from the park project, chairman of the Historic Properties Board, Emil Antonaccio, drafted a letter to, what's the HBP? The Historic Preservation Board. Okay. To the town board regarding Bailey Park, in Mr. Antonaccio's opinion, because Bailey Park is part of the property that includes Elephant Hotel, which is a national landmark and is historic property, therefore it should also fall under the jurisdiction of the historic, whatever it is, rather than the Parks and Recreation Department, to which the response was, although some thought the draft of the letter was not quite clear, which I have a copy of that letter, it was quite clear as to what they were concerned with. They continued to say, at the conclusion of the conversation, the majority felt that Bailey Park is not a historic property and should remain under the domain of the Parks and Recreation Department. That statement in itself is shocking, as we have so much documentation that Bailey Park is a historic piece of property, and it's either further designated, even on our town website. I'll read it to you, exactly what it says on the website. Bailey Park is a historic 0.75 acre village green area located between St. Luke's Church and the Elephant Hotel on a significant gateway corner of Route 202 and Route 100. So it has been documented in so many different places that this is a historic park, and it is by definition not a park. We call it Bailey Park, but it is defined as a village green, which the definition is an area in a village, usually in the center, consisting of a plot of grassy land. And that is what it's supposed to be, anchoring this historic situation. So my concern is that this property is supposed to go under a special due process of review and comment. There is in the town code under the Business Historic Preservation District, it is supposed to go through review. The town board, planning board is supposed to send it then to the open space committee. Well, actually, first you're supposed to have a technical committee, which is comprised of the town planner, town engineer, town inspector, architectural review board, open space committee, and landmarks committee. They're supposed to do a pre-approval process, a review process. And then the plan is supposed to be submitted to the Landmarks Committee, the Architectural Review Advisory Board, the Open Space Committee, Planning Board, back to Town Board, and then open to public comment and review. That is the process, because this piece of property is in the Business Historic Preservation District and the Somers Hamlet as a historic piece of property and village green. So to my knowledge, I don't know that that process has been gone through. It seems like from the minutes that the Parks and Rec Board decided that this was not a historic property, and I don't know under what authority they had to say that or designate it as such. And I don't think that this proposal has seen due process according to the law of our town code. And I think you are as a town legally liable and obligated to follow that process. So I'm hoping that the intended purpose of Bailey Park and the preservation of the park as an open space and a village green will be continued to be supported by the town and preserved as the anchor and cornerstone of our town. We have used it in the past just the way it is for concerts, for events, and the amount of money and the disturbance to the ground and the trees and the root systems and everything around, which for what you're proposing, is going to change the character of this property and the nature of what the intent was for this property, which was as an open space, an open green, and not to be impacted in the way that you are proposing. So I hope that you will do this due process and really take into consideration what we spent so much time and money for as far as creating and upholding the character of this town, which is what has attracted people up until this point to be here. I think there's a lot that can be done without all this impact that would enhance the park and leave it the way it is. You know, can always do temporary things. Also, I don't see that any kind of secra was done on this. If it was reviewed for any environmental impacts, especially given the nature of what you propose to do, make pavers and surfaces that are going to create runoff. I don't see. We've done secra reviews for even greater projects than this. I would hope. I mean, for lesser projects than this, I would hope that you would do that kind of review, and if an environmental impact statement is necessary, also proceed with that kind of thing. So I'm going to be watching for due process. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your comment. Thank you. We're going to try to
Usually we try to keep it to
3 minutes. But
Just have 2 sentences.
2 sentences.
All right, that'll
Thank
be
you.
less than 3 minutes.
And just be your name, please.
Yes.
3 minutes.
My name is Anita Krusko, and I have been a resident of Shenorock since 1979. First of all, I agree with everything that Ms. Stein said, and I just have 2 little comments. And I understand that this is Mr. Boniello. Yes. Hello. He was just pointed out to me. And I'm not accusing anyone of anything nefarious. It's just that it's really, really awkward. We were looking at the town board meeting and a discussion how different people on Parks and Rec had chosen different parks kind of to head up any type of studies or anything like that. And so it's awkward, Mr. Boniello, that...
I think you have the wrong Mr. Boniello.
Yeah, you got the wrong-
Okay,
yeah.
Boniello family, okay? As just, if there is a development in walkable distance, and then someone in connection with that family has connection with what happens with the park, it's just not a good look. And the thing is what we're doing is we're moving from something which has this historical significance. It's just evocative of colonial America. And what we're talking about is we're going to put in bistro tables and paving. So it is a really, really big shift in the look of the park. And so then, you know, you start to question if it's not for historical preservation and saving open space and all of these things that are listed in the master plan, and it's taking this turn, you know, it's awkward. And the thing is, just by the whole process by which this has proceeded, that other town boards, other committees were not brought in at the appropriate time. It's when things are handled this way, you lose the public trust. And I think this is what has also happened with this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
It's the last.
Hi, I'm Barbara Tepper, 714 Heritage Hills. I know that you are in receipt of a very extensive petition that was signed by many of the residents about the proposed golf course, building a miniature golf course, and the tobacco smoking place. And I just want you to really listen to the community on this. This is going to be right outside of a number of units. And they're going to be open late. If it happens, they're going to be open late with the big bright lights until God knows what time they're going to close. And the people who live there are definitely going to be negatively impacted by this. It should not be in the middle of a residential community, which is what Heritage Hills is. The golf simulator, that's an indoor thing. I have no problem with that. The tobacco, the cigar place, I had them on Staten Island. As long as they don't go outside to smoke it, I don't care. You could do whatever you want inside there. But it's that miniature golf course that is, to me, is a major bone of contention. So I really hope that you will listen to the voices in the community on this, and also the possible negative impact of taking down all those trees that prevent flooding in the area. So I hope you pay attention to that. Now I'm going to put on my other hat.
Okay.
From the library board. And just a little general reminder, the quick list that we gave you of quick fixes. Mm-hmm. You working on it?
We're working on a lot of stuff.
I know you are. I know you are. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
There will be bids going out next week with regard to your wish list.
If I can just add one thing about that Bailey Park, that I think it's not a final project. You and I have met. And last week, the Parks Board had an extensive meeting with interested parties, including the Historic Properties Board. And there are revisions being made now as a result of some of the concerns. So it's not finished. I think some of those concerns you would be happy with. You know, I don't know where it's going to end, but I would encourage both of you, to go to the next board meeting or call the secretary to the board or the chairperson of the board or anyone you know on that board, to make sure that your concerns are heard while they are in the process of revising and going out to some of the other committees or boards that you mentioned before. If it's not in the right order, maybe they're trying to make up for it now or whatever, but they're listed to as many people as they can now, and you should certainly be among those. Also, if I ever need a Post-it note, Francoise, I know where I can find a lot of them. There's a shortage. I know why. You got them. Anyway, I just want to say that is not a done project. It's still far away from being completed, and then they will come back to the town board, I suppose, at some point, and we'll discuss it. But your input would be valuable, I think, at this point.
It's been a work in progress right now, so nothing has been set, as Rich said, nothing has been set, nothing's been put in stone. So, I mean, it's a work in progress. All of the appropriate boards are talking to each other, and they're all listening to each other and what each one has to say, and that's all we can hope for.
Always. Sure. It would be.
Yeah.
And with respect to the miniature golf course, that application is before the planning board, not this board. And the petition, I believe, went to the planning board. So the planning board has that petition.
Thanks, Roland.
Yep.
Anybody else? Or public comment? No? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of minutes, February 3rd, 2022 work session, February 10th, 2022 regular session minutes. All in favor of the approval of minutes? Can I get a
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Department reports. The town clerk announces receipt of the following monthly report. Town clerk, building inspector, zoning board of appeals, plumbing, Bureau of Fire Prevention, Parks and
You're
Rec.
stealing somebody's thunder.
Oh,
It is the town clerk's report.
Sorry, my
Get excited about this.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Very excited.
It's all good. You can continue if you like. I have reports from the town clerk, building inspector, zoning board of appeals, plumbing, Bureau of Fire Prevention, Parks and Recreation, planning and engineering, tax receiver, and director of finance.
Good. Thank you. Nothing for the business of the board here. So town board, move on to that. So I'd like to give an update for town of Somers and COVID-19. There are 24 cases in Somers and 5 new cases. So that is we're coming a long way. So that's a good thing to see. I know the kids are excited as well at schools. We're taking their masks off, and you know, it's still a choice for the parents if they want their children to wear masks as well. But that is a really good thing to see. We're now, you know, a week into it, right? A week.
Yeah.
So it's numbers are coming down. Weather's going to start to get warmer here soon, and yes, me too. And but that's a good thing. Second on there today was Route 6 project presentation, North Edge Realty Corporation, Mr. Gus T. Boniello.
Good evening. My name is Richard O'Rourke. I'm with the law firm of Keenan Bean here on behalf of North Edge Realty Corp. Can you hear me better? Okay. Sorry about that.
That's great. Thank you.
I'm not Gus Boniello. He's much better looking, so he'll be speaking shortly. But in any event, so we're here tonight for a presentation in connection with this proposal, and the proposal is for property, as you know, that's located in Walden Place, and it's pursuant to your code section 170-13. And our hope is to present to you what we have, and perhaps we can open up a dialogue. And there's much to it in terms of details, and we hope that we can move this application forward. And so with that, what I would like to do is turn it over to our consulting engineer from Bibbo Associates, Tim Allen, who will make a presentation. And of course, we're here to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Tim, let it so the camera can see it. Yeah,
We have that here.
We have the
Get that at
plans.
home.
Good evening. Tim Allen, Bibbo Associates. Good to see you all. Don't let me out of the office very often anymore. After COVID, it's good to be out and about, and it's good to be here. As Rick said, we are proposing a development in Baldwin Place. I'd like to first go, I can make the best presentation here in the world on this project, but before you today, you've got the second and third generation of Boniellos of the builders. Built many projects in this area, and the best presentation I can make right now is right down the street. The Somers Crossing project, which I certainly have a bias because we designed it, but it came out even better than expected. The units are sold, basically sold out. We're just wrapping up that project, and we think it's a very good asset to the community, along with the grocery store that went in. We believe it was quite an asset to the Hamlet area, just outside of the Hamlet area. I personally work right down the street from there in the Mill Pond offices. I've not seen any increases in traffic per se. I come to work every day, and I think you could just drive through there, and what we want to do on this property here is mimic the success we had at the Somers Crossings. So having said that, let me just run through this plan. The general area of the plan is just west of Mayapack Avenue, heading towards Yorktown. You can see to the left of on this aerial, you've got Windsor Farm. Going back towards Baldwin Place, you have Mayapack Avenue, the commercial pieces there. To the east of the property proper, we've got the church and the tool shop at the corner, and a couple residences in back. The closest residence to this property is about 350 feet from the property line. The property itself is 17.5 acres. It's slightly second growth woods. It slopes from east to west on the property. It's fairly gentle and rolling. There are a little bit of steep slopes on the property. There's a wetland offsite, but there are no wetland impacts proposed for this property. Access from the property would be from Route 6. The development itself would consist of 94 units and an existing house which comes to the Carmel property in the back. A total of 95 residents, one existing remaining. Essentially, the development will mimic what is at Somers Crossing with multi-units attached. There will be three, I would call them residential, larger 10-unit buildings in the front of the property. Those will be considered the 15 units of affordable out of the 30 at the front of the property. The important part of that is the units themselves will still be in residential fashion. You won't know the difference between the units in the front and the units that are being constructed within the development itself.
Tim, just explain. So you're going to have three
total?
Excuse me?
That's the total number of affordable units? 15?
15, correct.
Okay.
So the front three buildings are 10 units each, so half of those are going to be affordable.
Correct.
And are they going to be identical to the other 15 in those buildings?
Yes.
And Tim, when you say 94, people are registering 94 buildings or units. You essentially have...
No, not units, yes.
Yeah, so you have those 3 units up front,
Yes.
and then all the units that are maybe individual units.
Yeah, so 65 units
Correct.
and 30...
No, it's 65 plus 3, I
Right,
guess.
plus 30.
Yes.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
plus 3 units with
10
30,
buildings.
10
units,
in
yes.
each. Right?
Correct.
How far are those 3 units from Route 6?
About 100 feet. And I did want to go through it in terms of the layout of this property and how it physically lays out. It's very similar to what Somers Crossing is. It sits down. So if you could see the grading around the back, this site will be sitting down. You'll be looking over the majority of it from the east side where there's existing development and the residences. You're actually looking over this property for the most part as the site sits down into kind of like as you're driving down Route 100, you're looking over the units and not directly at the units themselves, which is nice from a visual standpoint. There's not a lot to hide.
Tim, are those 3 units in front, are they all one-bedroom units?
There are all twos. Excuse me.
All units, Gus?
All units.
Throughout the 94, all 94?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, so they're all, okay.
So having said that, we are proposing, like I said, the proposal before you, we would need to go to through this board for its approval, and the planning board. It's a fairly simple site in terms of site design. We don't have a lot of, there's almost no steep slopes, there's no wetland permits. It's environmentally friendly in terms of the development. Gus has already working with a traffic engineer. We have an on-site environmental consultant in Evans Associates. We've put a lot of thought into this layout and spent a lot of time on it, quite frankly, to bring it before you. And we think it's going to be quite an asset to what already is a nice hamlet up in Baldwin Place. So having said that, I'll open it up to questions. Gus is here to answer any questions.
What are you going to do for plans for sewer and?
Yeah.
Both will be
Utilities.
serviced by sewer and water. We believe we're in the water district right now, and we would have to petition to be in the sewer district.
Have you had any preliminary discussions with anyone from the county, either the county representatives?
We've started that.
or the planner?
We started that process right now, as we
And
speak.
have you received any feedback as of yet, or is it too early for
The
that?
sewer is right in front. We've obviously haven't gotten any negative nor positive feedback at this point.
Right.
Again, the sewer runs right in front of the property, and as Windsor and some of the other developments all pass by there, are all connected to that sewer line.
You said that this was a replication to a certain extent of what's down on 100. Does that mean it's also geothermal?
The property down there is not, you want to discuss that?
Technology is changing so quickly. We're keeping that option open. There's actually maybe even better things than geothermal right now.
Because that's a big attraction down there.
That's a big attraction. It's
Yeah.
been very good. And again, that may be the road we're going to go, we take. It was a big attraction. It's, with fuel prices going the direction they're going right now, it should be even more so.
What would be the alternative? Just traditional oil or
No.
gas?
No, the reason I kind of hedged a little bit, they're actually coming out with some air exchange heat pumps along the same lines as geothermal. Whereas geothermal uses the ground temperature as your median, they're actually able to get very close to what geothermal is right now using air as the exchange.
You're talking about the split systems?
Excuse me?
The split systems? The ones that go up on the wall?
No, not really, but there's a bunch of different ways you could accomplish it, but it's a air exchange
Okay.
using atmospheric air as opposed to ground.
Is there anywhere that's using those right now, or you would be the first?
No, we're looking into it. That's
So you would be the first?
no. They are being used now,
Oh.
but we're looking into exactly how good they are.
And they're used in the area, just out of curiosity, or
Say again?
are they used in this area, or are they somewhere else, just
No,
out of curiosity?
It's basically used across the country now. It's just the next step
Oh, okay.
of the heat exchange. Of,
All right.
heat
Never heard
pumps,
of it?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a new generation seems to be coming out.
Okay.
I wanted to get a little more information on it.
Gotcha.
It's like you said, that was a very big plus.
It is.
That was cutting edge. When we did the geothermal, it was cutting edge, and the bills of their utility bills have been pretty good. Like I said, with the oil and gas going the direction that I think it's going, it
Worth the
should
price
be
of
better.
admission.
So talk about, the size of the property and the number of units. I mean, Rick, you alluded to, what do we have down over here? There's like 65 units on X amount of property.
Yes, 66
And then what are you
acres.
going to have here?
There was 66 acres on.
66.
No, 66 units.
66 units on approximately on that side, not including DeChico, on the area that we use for development is probably in the area about 10 to 11 acres. And that's just, top of my head a little bit, but that particular property total was 22 acres. I'm going a little by memory now, excuse me. But I believe it was 22 acres, included DeChico, but also there's a large wetlands in the back that is just
So in here,
left in its natural state.
so here you're talking about something like 70 structures on how many acres?
On approximately 15, I believe.
Yeah, all,
So is
and
that-
all the 15 are no wetlands on it, that's
No
net
wet-
acreage?
No. No wetlands, a little bit of buffer, just the very corners right here.
Are you thinking of having a clubhouse for the community?
Oh, yes, and there'll be a clubhouse at the entrance right over here.
Now, the one down the road, that was marketed at people who were in Somers, have sold their house, want to stay. Master bedroom is on the ground floor.
Most units have master bedroom on the first
And
floor.
is it the same thing?
And that is probably the way.
So
we
the
would
same
do it.
market you're looking for there?
Pretty much. We've offered both ways. We had units that had master bedroom on the first floor. We had units that had master bedroom on the second floor. By far, master bedroom on the first floor was much more.
People don't like stairs?
People, yeah. And, and we've sold to all demographics. We got very young families in there, and we've got older people, again, I don't want, I should put it that way. We have, people,
Retirees.
empty nesters, or, quite a bit of that. A tremendous amount of people that lived in Somers and wanted to stay in Somers.
Yeah.
That was,
And
that was
you
surprising how-
market the same way here?
Pretty
Is that
much.
what your idea
Pretty
is?
much. We see that that's, we've done pretty well there. We've got no complaints.
Yeah.
And I think that's,
Do you know how many
That's our
kids
niche.
come out of the place down the road that go to the schools?
say that again?
You say you have some younger families.
We
there.
have younger
Do you know
families.
how many school kids come out of that?
Not a lot, but we do have some. And we're, again, let me go top of my head, we have probably about 2/3 of the units right now occupied, maybe a little more. And I believe that there's only 3 children in the Somers School Districts.
So you'd figure maybe the same thing. I'm just trying to figure what's the
Exactly.
impact on the
Yeah.
school district.
Yeah, it seems like that's,
Minimal.
yeah. We have some younger
Okay.
families with, non-school age kids, but school age kids, I believe, we were just working on that report, believe it or not, because figured let's see exactly what that is. And right now, so far, we've only come up with 3. So I want to kind of check that against the school, just to make sure that we're correct, but
Right.
that's generally where we are. At this point, we've made our presentation. I think there are some loose ends I'd like to work out a little bit with the town. If I could so request, I think maybe our next step would be a little bit of discussion with supervisor and maybe a councilman at a time. And let's see how we could refine this to be a little more, something that the town would be proud of and that is in the interest of the town and that works for us.
Gus, I see on the floor you have a rendering, can we see that?
This is just a rendering of Somers Crossing.
So, oh, that's at Somers Crossing?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
So
Are these
they-
going to have garages?
yes.
Okay. One-car garage for each
Well,
unit?
they're actually 2-car garage.
Two-car garages?
Yeah.
Okay. What about the buildings in front?
Buildings in front, no garages, that would be parking.
Parking there?
And again, that's the look we were looking for in this project also. Again, we've been very happy with the way things have turned out there, and I think the looks have been what we wanted and what we really liked. We're looking to kind of emulate that to a certain degree.
Now, you said the marketing is going to go towards the empty nesters?
The market is be open.
It's open for everybody?
Open, but, and just like it is at Somers Crossing, but I'm just telling you what we've seen as far as the people buying.
And how long does a typical survey for the traffic and engineering usually take to come back?
I don't know, 6 months, 8 months, I'm not really
So,
sure.
yeah, traffic, traffic is something that we've been discussing here. Mayapack Avenue and the north-south routes have been very heavily impacted recently. What are your traffic thoughts here?
The traffic thoughts that we've been working with Phil Greeley, who's basically the preeminent traffic engineer, does most of the projects here, Dr. Phil. And basically, we're definitely going to need some improvements on Route 6, like a turning lane,
That's what I was going to ask. So you're going to have to pay for...
which we're going to have to get through DOT and pay for, exactly.
See, a couple of questions that I have. One is, and it's off of what Tony just said, the exit here is fairly close. How far away is the exit or entrance onto Route 6 from the light up on top of the hill?
Well, maybe not. Is it directly onto Route 6, or does it come out to Mayapack Avenue on the
No,
other
it
side?
goes to Route 6.
You mean Mayapack Avenue?
Well, no, but,
Behind
This is
behind
not
Toolnet. But is he coming out on Route 6? I mean,
On
that's
Route
the
6.
question.
Yeah, you're
As
coming out,
opposed
it's coming
to-
out on Route 6.
Anyway, as far as
Close
the
to the service road.
as far as the distance from the other light, and that's something we went over with Phil, our entrance was placed where he said to place it, that he knows would be acceptable to DOT and is
Okay, my only concern is that, somebody's coming up that hill and the light turns orange and they hit the gas to come over the hill, and how close is it to somebody
No, we're-
pulling out?
How far was you? We're quite a ways away. It's
600 feet.
Okay.
It's a pretty good distance.
Okay. Now, the marketing of the affordables, you're talking 15 units. That's going to have to go through, I guess, the county's marketing for
not really, because thing that we're proposing to do different than has been before your board before, is that we're not looking for county money, we're not looking for town money, we're not looking for
My
state
guess
money.
is, Gus, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
my guess is if you want to hook up into the water and sewer, you're going to have to go by the county's rules.
I don't know.
I would be amazed if they didn't. I would be amazed if they said, yeah, you could hook up into water and sewer, and then just let us pick who goes in there. I think it's going to have to be, what do they call it, the fair housing and all that. I mean, again, I could be
Could
wrong.
be.
I could be wrong, but I would be very surprised.
We're following all the rules and regulations set by the county. Our preference is that the town administer it.
Yeah,
That'd be the
I'd be
difference.
very surprised if that happened. I mean, again, I told you this before. I think the water and sewer is a heavy lift. I've said that
It's
before.
not water, though. Isn't it just?
I'm sorry,
water.
I keep saying
Water
water.
is in.
He wants to do the water, but that's not going to be affected by the county, I don't
Correct.
think.
No, but the
So,
sewer.
but
I'm sorry, the sewer line.
Understood. The county definitely is, we take that challenge on. That's part of it.
All right. I just think it's a heavy lift with like everything that we've had here lately. I mean, I don't know what you think, Roland, but
No, I agree with you. I think you should probably speak with Rose Noonan, if you haven't already, and I think she'll guide you correctly. But I think the county will probably have to administer the AFFH units.
yeah, what's that stand for, Roland? I couldn't remember.
Affordable
Affordable housing.
Affordably furdering
That's what you got. Okay. I didn't know the
fair
acronym.
housing.
Yeah.
Making me look bad.
And we'll see what their take is, but
Affirmatively.
the way we look at it is they're getting affordable housing, whether it's administered by them or administered by the town.
Yeah, they're going to want to have more control over it.
Gus, if everything works out, you have some sort of a plan. Rarely does it work out perfectly, I'm sure, in any business. What would be you're looking at starting what time that you would begin getting in the ground, and when you'd be able to sell your first units? How would that?
Tomorrow.
Yesterday.
Right, Rick?
No, unfortunately, in this business, minimum time frame would be 2 years to get into the ground. More realistic is closer to 3 and up.
Yeah, just
Took
get
you
an
almost
idea.
10 years to finish this project over here, right?
Excuse me?
It's almost 10 years you're on this project.
Is it that long? Far?
Not quite, but we're getting
2012 or
probably
so.
pretty close.
Really?
From beginning to end.
Since the first meeting before the board.
Could be.
2012.
I'm not 100% sure of the
Really?
dates, but
Wow.
good.
Time goes fast.
If I may, you asked the question when you want to get into the ground. Well, we had the same team when we did Somers Crossing and DeChico's, and all I remember is that Gus said, "Oh my goodness, can't we get into the ground a little bit faster?" So, I mean, obviously we know we have to go through the process. One of the nice things about this application, from looking at 170-13 in your code, this is a totally conforming application. That's number one. Number two, insofar as any environmental constraints on this property, there really aren't any. In contrast to what we did have, obviously, with Somers Crossing and with the Chicos, because we had some wetland. Lastly, traffic is always a bugaboo. Sight distance is a bugaboo, and it's something that we have to deal with. We had the same issues in many respects when we did the Chicos and we did Somers Crossing. Had a lot of traffic on, Route 100 in particular, in terms of, exiting and making a left-hand turn coming out of there. But we were able to resolve it. And, what we're hoping to do, just the quality of the development speaks for itself. You've seen it. There's a track record. Our feeling is that this is something that is beneficial for the town. The Boniellos have always been state-of-the-art quality development, and we think that this is something that would be an asset for the community. So our fervent wish is that if we perhaps could iron out some of the details and have a meeting with the supervisor and one of the town board members and just discuss some of those details, that would be the next step that we would like to do. So,
Just, again, broadly speaking, this could be some of the details, but, the tax structure for this, I mean, we're probably thinking, fee simple. We were talking about that. We've had other applications up there, that before us, and so that's what we've talked about.
For sale, we almost always go fee simple.
What
Right.
are your thoughts?
Well, that's all discussions,
Thank you.
that's the kinds of discussions that we need to have, and we'd like to move to that point, so.
Thank you.
We understand.
Thank you.
A couple of things, if I might suggest.
Sure, Ron.
With the petition, in several places, you note that it's a floating zone, and as I told you earlier this week, the floating zones have been eliminated in Somers.
Yes,
So that should be modified.
yes.
And you also reference a draft comprehensive plan update. The comprehensive plan update was adopted, I don't know,
16.
4 years ago?
2016.
2016.
16.
Yeah, so you need to make that correction as well, that
Okay,
the
draft, got
plan
it.
actually is not a draft, it's adopted.
Got it. Yeah, well, we've had the discussion on E-code. Language has not been changed yet, so, but I
Right.
recognize that.
I'm
Yeah.
trying.
You're working on that.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
No, I know, but I'm trying.
Yeah, that's okay. Well,
But we have a file, we filed with ECO.
They're all filed. It's just
So they're probably
getting
gonna have
them
access to what we filed.
yeah, you do want to get that. You want to get that off the E-code. But thank you. Any other questions?
Just has nothing to do with this project. I was just wondering, you're talking about traffic down there, down 100, and one of the big things I remember we were talking about is managing. Will they come through your development and avoid the corner by cutting through the shopping center, either to go south or to go west? I was just wondering if any of that. How is that going, and do you monitor it, or you just have no idea
No,
what's
we do.
going on?
Our construction office and our sales office is on that main
Yeah.
drag that they would take. So we see it every morning.
And how
there
is
there hasn't been once in a while, I know that somebody's coming through that I know is not,
Yeah.
living there, but not as many, that has not been a problem. Let's put it
Yeah,
that
that
way.
was a discussion.
That was a discussion,
Right.
yes.
Whether to allow it, not allow it, close it, emergency,
Exactly.
all those things.
Exactly. No,
Okay, well,
it's
that's
actually,
good.
it's,
So I should stop going through
Yeah,
there?
in fact,
No,
yeah.
I'm only kidding. I don't do it. No.
I didn't look today, but I just looked. E-code has been updated, showing all of our new laws.
Wow.
They must have done it today.
So they must have done. I didn't look today. I look every day. I didn't look today, and I just did.
So-
I have the number now from,
So we basically gave you an introduction to the project. And again, I think I'm asking if it's all right to talk to the supervisor and one board member at a time. Maybe we could sit down, hammer out some details, and then come back before the board. If that's acceptable,
It's acceptable. Yeah.
I would suggest that the planner be at those
Yeah.
meetings.
That's-
And perhaps myself as well.
absolutely.
Sounds good.
Sure.
Yep.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
I'll
Appreciate it.
call your office maybe tomorrow and see if we could set up some times.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Guys. The Boniello posse will be leaving,
The whole left side of the room is gone.
the gang.
Thank you.
Good night, thank
Good
you.
night, guys.
See you, Tim.
I would like to make one small correction. The numbers are 22 in Somers for COVID and 1 new case. So the numbers just came through. So, we
better.
went down. There's a lot of
We
good
got
news going
E-code.
on.
As
The
we said
E-code
there.
tonight, and now we have
Everything's
yeah.
happening in the last
Everything-
half hour.
That's right. The next topic here, I would like to have a discussion here about the Hometown Heroes banner program. I was approached by the Somers Volunteer Fire Department. Yes, go ahead. I know there's an Eagle Scout.
Yes.
There's an Eagle Scout. I'm well aware of that.
All right.
Well aware of
I
that.
talked to him today just to see, when I saw this, to see if it was still his plan to get his Eagle Scout through this. I think Bill knows him also, and Simon came before us and presented. It's still their plan to move forward, but sorry, I just wanted to make sure you were aware.
I'm well aware of that, and but I just want they had brought it to my attention. So the Somers Volunteer Fire Department wanted to start this program as well, and then as I was doing my research, understood that there was an Eagle Scout program as well to what he wanted to do as well.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
His project.
His project. So I think
as an FYI, Rob,
Yeah, go ahead.
as of 2 days ago, that project was approved by the Eagle Scout Board of Review, so
Was.
that can continue from his perspective.
Great.
And he is looking to partner with the town again and update us
Yes.
again, and the fire department very much.
Yeah. So I think then what we'll do is here we'll talk to the Eagle Scout, get him in touch with the fire department.
Yeah.
As long as it's in conjunction with us as well. I know the fire department wanted to put some seed money into it to help kick it off. We're sort of on a little bit of a deadline too. I know for them they want to start maybe getting from Memorial Day to Veterans Day. But there's I did some research too. There's a bunch of companies out there that do this. But we can share more of those details, and I could talk to the.
I would
what's
suggest
the gentleman's name for the Eagle Scouts? Do you
It's
know?
Simon
Daly.
Simon Daly.
I talked to his father today. We might want to have, in the economy of time, you might want to have him come in and tell you where he is, or we can have him at the next meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Again, getting it approved is a big step. Sometimes it takes some months to get it. When my son went for his project, it took a couple of meetings, but I know they're very committed to it, and there'll be some more steps, because I can't remember. Are they talking about putting them on the telephone poles? I can't remember or not.
My best recollection is it is on the telephone poles to complement the flag. Height, all of those types of dimensions will have to be decided from a variety of.
And I'll have to get
controlling
him. I'll have to get him in touch with my guy, because you have to get permission. You got to get joint
Yeah.
use, so I can help facilitate that with the Eagle Scout candidate as well.
So, it's in the Business Historic District. I mean, do you want to consult with, the review, what is it, the Historical Society?
Properties Board.
Yeah, the Properties
Advise
Board,
him to
and,
do that, yes.
I mean, yeah, so we
We'll go
just
through
want
we go
I
through the
think-
proper channels to make sure that everybody is represented there. To make sure that
Now that we know
that everybody
Francois
has.
is watching, we better do.
Of course.
Yeah,
So this would be
they
like
didn't
a-
leave yet.
This would be,
I was wondering why they were sticking around.
this would be a Dylan Mooshi.
Dylan Miyoshi, I could get them in touch with him, and we can get in touch with our joint use guys.
Rob, when you had discussions with the fire department,
Mm-hmm.
now I remember the Eagle Scout or the prospective Eagle Scout when he was here was talking about people who had served, and even going back historically, back in time. Is that the same idea that the fire department had, or are they looking heroes in a more general way? To
They have a few people.
those who serve in a variety of areas, not just
Yeah,
in
but
military.
that could be a discussion topic as well. Do we want to just have it as military, or do we want to have it? We open it up to first responders as well, and that
Right.
could be a big discussion.
Okay.
I did
Just
some of my
wondering.
due diligence too, and there's in the our town police department, there's six gentlemen right now who served in the military. So. That's something there too, right? And there's part of the first responders and that nature. So, my envision then would be for this to go back to go back in history. Get a list from the high school, get what kids went to the military, honor those kids for their service that they did. Especially that's sort of that camaraderie and that town unification, and you do that so people have an understanding of people who've sacrificed and who have gone out there and and served.
I think he had even mentioned, I might be imagining things, but I thought he even mentioned going, Civil War, perhaps even Revolutionary War. That's a lot of research and a lot of research. Rotating of banners and that type of thing, but
there's a lot of logistics that would have to go into it, right?
But it's an interesting project.
Yeah. So that goes to how does it get maintained?
Right.
And the selection process. I don't think the town board's going to be selecting the flags on an ongoing basis.
I'd nominate you, though.
No, thank you.
This is done. I travel all over New York with my job, and it's done everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a business model for this. Who does it and how they do it.
Usually, I think in the town over from us, I want to say it's like the highway department goes up and changes. I'm not saying that's how we would do it. I mean, my suggestion would be to get Simon and his father, and I know he's looking to get a meeting with the chief of the fire department and somebody else. I can't remember who it is, and then bring the supervisor into it and see if it's something that could be worked on together, because you're right, we're going to need a plan moving forward for who's going to replace them and who's going to take them down and put them up.
And I spoke to a woman who headed up in Carmel. She was very knowledgeable about the whole process and how the funding and of all that nature, right? Because it would have to be a funding thing too, right? So people would initially, how do you go about doing it?
Well, that's part of the Scouts, Eagle Scouts thing is coming up with a plan on how to raise the money for it.
Correct. And then it's the ongoing thing as well, right?
Right.
So
that's where it gets tricky, because you have a lot of projects where the Scouts, like Tommy's project was the Gaga Ball pit in the park. Correct. Now the thought there is, if a piece of the wood breaks, the town would probably replace it, because Tommy did everything else. But you do have things like this, which are on the poles, and who's going to be responsible for it. So there does need to be some sort of plan.
I believe the first design is a certain price, and then if it gets ripped or torn or tattered, you send it back, and it's a lot less cost.
Right.
And that would be sort of the fundraising piece and the mechanism of it, where that cost and with from fundraising would cover it as well. But there's a lot that goes into it.
Just my 2 cents on it is where my mother-in-law is up in Wappingers. These are all over the place. They're up all the time. And I don't think I know they mentioned about taking them down at a certain point. I think that's better. If they go up Memorial Day and down on Veterans Day, to leave them up all the time, it seems like
they're going to get ruined faster.
It just seems like, plus it's just part of the scenery. I mean, no offense, I'm up there, or my mother-in-law, but part of the scenery. And rather than if they go up, periodically, it's like, oh, check it out. Oh, I know that guy. I mean, that's what I think would happen.
Periodic.
So some are, some aren't.
Yeah, that's an
This particular Eagle Scout is quite thorough, and most of the questions I heard, he's already got answers for. So if we invite him back in, I'm sure he'd be happy.
Yeah, I think the next step would probably just to have a meeting, meet him.
Yeah, I would have him come in and meet you just to
just to meet and then discuss and kind of pick his brain on where he's at and all the research that he's
what year is
he's obtained.
I'll set it up. This young man is a high school freshman.
He is. He's in my daughter's grade.
Okay, freshman.
Great. So if you could just send me his contact.
I will.
All right, and then we'll take from there. And number 4, authorize the supervisor to execute the proposal for the New York Power Authority to conduct an audit for the direct install lighting program in the amount of $3,000 per referral from Robert Kehoe, Director of Finance. Anybody have any questions?
I looked at this agreement.
Mm-hmm.
I will.
You pointed it out to me.
Yep.
It seems a little lengthy.
It does.
For a desk audit.
It does.
It's got so much stuff in here that is non-applicable. I'm just wondering if maybe they sent the wrong agreement.
I think with the conversation that we had is that we had to, that might be it might be, right? That they had to get that designed because we're a municipality in that nature, then they needed the permission to be able to do it.
But nowhere in here is the word audit used.
No.
And in fact, I didn't see where $3,000 is mentioned. Talks about a lot of reimbursable expenses, that the town has to
Yeah,
pay.
so the 3,000 was to cover just the audit purposes, and if we used them for the project, that 3,000 would be credited to the project.
If they sent the wrong paper, we're going to have to send them your fee for reading it.
I mean, it just seemed totally inapplicable.
Do you think it's something we should hold off on right now, if there's not a time
Well, you can
element?
authorize the supervisor,
That's what I
but I
was
don't
gonna say.
think, I think
Yeah.
an inquiry should be made by Bob Keogh as to whether or not.
That's correct.
Well, that's a good recommendation.
I mean, in fact, you read all that, and you're not
This
even
is
sure if it
crazy.
applies to what we're
I
talking
mean,
about.
it's 32 pages.
Tell you
This
something
is-
about
this
who
is-
wrote it.
Audit?
This is standard operating procedure for bureaucracy.
I guess, maybe, but I think you ought to find out for sure.
All right, so we'll just move that, right?
So we're going to move it, and
Yeah.
you'll figure it
I'll
out.
move- Yeah,
Don't get us into trouble.
You got to take a vote on it.
So you need a second.
oh, can I get a motion to further,
To move forward on
to
it.
move forward on it?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I recuse myself.
Okay, Parks and Rec, request permission to request for proposal for the installation of a permanent outfield fence, backstop, and safety fence work for the Van Tassel baseball/softball field per memo dated March 3rd, 2022, from Steve Ralston, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation. Anybody have anything there?
Makes sense, I talked to him about it.
Great. Motion to request permission? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Request permission to purchase the Discover Center playground piece for the Reese Park Tot Playground to replace the pieces donated in 2002 that are in despair. Request permission to allocate $15,000 for recreational fees to include the above purchase, installation, safety, surfacing, the old equipment removal per memo dated March 3rd, 2022, from Steve Ralston, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation. Can I get a motion to?
I'm gonna approve it, but I'm very disappointed because my kids played in that. So I'm disappointed that it's going to be gone, but I make a motion that we move forward on it.
Second.
All in favor?
Move it to
Aye.
your backyard, Tom.
No, I got something I already got to get rid of, so.
Not unless it goes out for the formal bid.
Yeah, don't say that, all right?
Just let's get rid of it.
Okay.
I'm not
Probably
that
sell it,
I'm not that
probably sell it,
depressed.
right?
I'm not that sad about it.
You can sell some of this stuff.
So let's move on to financials here. Request to authorize an increase of $456 to the $157,000 budget for playground equipment approval in the February 2021 Town Board meeting to be funded by recreation fees per memo dated February 28, 2022, from Robert Kehoe, Director of Finance.
So when we originally did this for $157,000, we were off by $456?
Sounds like it.
Wow. I thought that might be a wrong number. Okay.
Motion to authorize?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, request to approve a budget of $110,000 for NYSERDA. I want to clarify something here. The NYSERDA grant is for $50,000, and then we have a $50,000 SAM grant, state and municipal grant, and this will cover 2 cars and 2 charging stations. And this is from
For a cost of $10,000.
for a cost of 10. Yes. This is a grant received from 2018 per memo dated February 28, 2022, from Robert Kehoe, Director of Finance. A motion to request approval?
Do we know where those are going to, did we decide where they're going to be? Didn't we say one's by the police? Is that what we
I
said?
thought
No,
one was
one's
by,
up near Van Tassel House,
Right.
and one's over in Reese Park.
Right. Okay.
Can I get a motion to request approval?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Highway, there is
myself.
no additional business.
You have to reduce yourself.
There are some couple things here. I'd like to make so affordable housing, so a couple of vacancies, affordable housing board, a 1-2-year term ending 7/11/2022. I'd like to make a motion here to appoint Katie O'Keefe to the architectural review board, a 1-3-year term ending 3/31/2023. I get a
Second?
Second.
all in favor? Aye. The Assessment Board of Review, 1 5-year term ending 9/3/2023. Parks and Recreation Board, a 1 3-year term ending 3/9/2025.
And on that one, we can say it's one of the few times that we actually do have an opening. So if you are interested, you can reach out to the supervisor with interest.
Yes. And we have 2 for Partners in Prevention. We have a 2 3-year term ending 12/31/2022. And then we have another one for Partners in Prevention, a 2 3-year terms ending 12/31/2023.
And one's going to be appointed, right?
And one's going to be appointed, yeah. One of those will be appointed. I actually talked to,
Okay.
she was supposed to reach out to him.
So there are 3 openings.
Oh,
Or
the-
3.
So if anyone is interested in that, worthy committee for sure.
Yep. And upcoming vacancies, right? Term ending 2021, Parks and Rec Board. So 1 3-year term ending.
Whoa.
No, that's, yeah. Never mind.
Expiring in 2021? I'm assuming that means it already expired.
It already expired. Take that off. Someone want to read the next one? I'm going to recuse myself for this.
I make a motion that we authorize the appointment of Mike Scarano to the Somers Energy Environment Committee, which serves at the pleasure of the town board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. Number 4, acknowledge the resignation of Frederick Peace as a member of the Somers Assessment Board of Review, effective February 28th, 2022.
Thank you very much for your service, Mr. Peace. We appreciate the years you put in.
Indeed.
Very much so. There's nothing for planning and engineering. There's no additional business there.
Before we get to the consensus agenda, Mr. Supervisor?
Yep. Can you give me this up?
Sure.
Okay. The police, there's no additional business there. I'd like to remove item number 7 off the consensus and move it into the regular meeting.
And vote on it.
And vote on it, yeah. And that is schedule a public hearing for the New York Stretch Code for April 21st, 2022. I get a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great.
And I recuse. And I just want to state for some people who are, because I've been recusing myself, I actually work for an energy company, so anytime anything involving energy decisions or electric decisions come up, I recuse myself.
Yeah, but sort of overdoing it, though.
Yeah, well, we had 3 of them today.
I mean,
I said in the last 14 years, I don't think we've had 3 things.
If everything's going
Yeah,
down,
right.
that's the right vote. Okay.
I know, Bill, you want to...
I
Listening here.
did, to bring to the attention of the board, we've gotten a resolution submitted to the board by a citizen of Somers, Patrick DeCina, which I could not agree with more. I'd like to read it into the record and then have the board consider voting on it. It reads, resolution in support of the people of Ukraine, whereas the free and independent country of Ukraine is being unjustly and ruthlessly invaded by the Russian military, and whereas the citizens of Ukraine are showing remarkable courage in the face of overwhelming lethal force, and whereas freedom-loving people and governments worldwide are uniting in support of the Ukrainian people, and whereas all levels of government in free countries have the opportunity to express their support for the courageous people in Ukraine, be it therefore resolved that the town board of the town of Somers, New York, speaking on behalf of the people of Somers, New York, hereby express their support for the people of Ukraine.
Want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve that into the record.
Second.
All in
those
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we want to thank Mr. DeSena. Mr. DeSena was a longtime councilman on this board years ago, and he does still stay involved, and every now and then we get some emails from him offering some tips or suggestions, and they're always good ones. So thank you very much, Pat.
You know, let me just say this about it, too. We have made, in the years that you and I have been on the board, and Anthony and Bill, too, we've made a true effort to not make the mistakes that some other town boards and other places will sometimes make, which is wading into political issues that really have nothing to do with their town, and it can become partisan. And in my mind, it's just a distraction that takes away from the unified purpose of the board, which is our job is to take care of our town and not sort of go outside its borders when it doesn't have any impact on us. This is an exception to that, though. Although it's symbolic, just like this little sticker I've got that goes, I put it on the back of people's cars and giving them away. it's my color coordination today too. You know, these are symbolic gestures, but you know, in something like this, you're talking about just clear-cut human rights violations. Very few things are black and white, especially if you talk about politics and government. This is, and I think that you know, that's why we support this. It's not changing our past practice. It's just this is common sense, and this is a common bond among almost all people on Earth, I think, for what clearly is an injustice being done to the people of Ukraine. And I admire their bravery. You're right. They are really something.
And I would also add that this grievance is not with, you know, the residents and people of Russia.
Oh,
At all.
absolutely.
You know, this
There's
is
only one
really
person.
about, you know, the regime and some bad actors, and have, you know, just gone beyond the norms that I would consider in my lifetime. I mean, this is World War II stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought this all was behind us, and here we are.
Well, you're talking about hospitals with kids, maternal hospitals,
Yes.
you know, involved, seemingly
No,
intentionally.
So,
Thank you, Bill.
okay,
Thanks, Bill.
thanks.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. DeCina.
Let's head to the consensus agenda. Items 1 through 12, striking out number 7.
Do we have to vote on the, did we vote on the?
We did.
On that? I just kind of passed on, I wanted to ask a question, though, about that night, on that.
Stretch.
The stretch. You did this with Warren. The thought occurred to me is that, does this apply only to new construction as
Yes.
versus, you know, everything that's being
New
done?
construction, which includes renovations.
So now what's a renovation? So do we need to be more specific?
Well, that you
Talk
probably
about
have to
that.
ask the building inspector
We'll have to
for
talk about
his
that.
definition.
All right.
What you can't do, and the mistake North Salem made the first time, was it tried to give the building inspector discretion. And New York State said, no, you're either enforcing it or you're not,
Okay.
but
We
there
don't-
can be no discretion locally. So you're kind of handcuffed to either do it or don't do it.
So we have to, define what a renovation is, size, whatever, scope?
I think it's expansion, but yes, you should check.
Okay.
I mean, we had the discussion yesterday, Rob and I don't think it includes like new windows
Right.
and things like
It's
that.
like an addition to a house
But
or
if you
something.
put
Yeah.
an addition on,
Right.
If you're putting an addition on, which is
Okay.
X amount of dollars or
Right.
or so much square footage to that nature,
Mhm.
and changing the look, the feel, the property value of the house. I mean, I guess there's a lot of little nuances that go into it. So
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry for the digression there.
No, you're good. You had the question, somebody jumped in front.
So the consensus agenda, items 1 through
12.
here. Anybody have any discussions, any topics with that?
Nope.
No? Motion to adopt the consensus agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Take it to the calendar here. April 7th and April 21st is our town board work session and regular meeting. May 5th and May 12th, work session, regular meeting as well. And then June 2nd and June 9th are our town board work session and town board regular meeting.
Well, I'd like to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day. The best thing that ever happened to me came from Ireland 26 years ago. So, and we'll be going over there for a couple weeks over the summer. So, just wish everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day. I just am lucky enough to be married to one who's 100% every day.
So I married Carol Ryan,
McGoldrick.
and I am, the joke is that I'm Tony Osirico.
Guess we could all go
On
down,
St. Patrick's Day, yes.
guess we could all go down the line, right?
Yes.
Married an Irish girl as well, so. Rich, anything? Anything you want to add?
You're not Irish at all?
I am Irish, actually.
3/8.
Richie McClinchy. They did come from Ireland, I think, a potato family in the 1840s to New York City. It's true.
County Limerick, myself.
My dear mother's maiden name was Murphy.
Okay.
Nice.
Monahan. Say?
Anything else, Patty?
Coin.
No? So a motion to adjourn the Somers Town Board regular meeting for Thursday, March 10th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be safe.